Well, well, well. You're a teacher.
Yeah.
You know, like, you teachers, where do I even begin? Honestly, where do I begin? I remember when I was giving a lot of teachers headaches when I was in school. And I was thinking, you guys must go back home and get a pillow and go, fuck these kids.
Oh my God, yeah.
Fuck you know, niggas.
Yeah, especially in the first year.
How-
Yeah.
How did you become a teacher? What made you want to teach a lot of, a lot of screaming kids and all of these things? Kids are beautiful,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
love kids.
Yeah.
But there's levels to this shit. There's levels to loving kids as a parent or even
Yeah.
just in general as a normal human
You're
being.
a teacher going back home to your own kids.
Yeah, that's
You
why I
get
get
me?
overstimulated. I'm like, oh, there's kids.
Versus.
And then, but at least with music, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
this is where I'm not with kids.
That's
Yeah.
a safe space, right?
Yeah,
Literally.
yeah.
Like, how did you get into teaching, just even in general? Like, how did the teaching journey begin?
Well, initially, my parents they always wanted me to do well in school, but they weren't really too picky. As in, you have to be this, you have to be that. Ideally, they did want me to go to university, which I did.
Yeah.
But it was more of like, as long as you're doing something where you have good amount of money, it's fine. We don't really matter like what that has to look like.
Yeah.
So with me, at first I wanted to be a psychologist, because I'm really interested in people's minds. I love picking people's brains, and even within myself, like there's times where I'm like, okay, I want to understand why I am the way that I am. Like, why do I do the things that I do?
Yeah.
And I love understanding other people. But being in that journey to get to being a psychologist, a lot of people were kind of steering me away. They're like, oh, it's very competitive. It's hard to get a job. You shouldn't really do things like that. And then I ended up doing my degree, instead of psychology, I ended up doing it in sociology. And that's more of like global, like it's similar to, because sociology in its academic terms is just the human scientific study of human behavior. Yeah. So it's like you're still learning about people, but on a more global level as opposed to individual. But then I felt like, but you can't really get a great job with sociology degree. It's more like psychology. Then even with psychology is so competitive. So then I thought, why not teach sociology or teach psychology or things like that? Yeah. But then what put me off there with the teaching it is secondary school, like kids, they scare me. So I'm like, either I want to lecture it at university or I'll end up getting like a master's PhD in education, which I ended up doing. So I ended up getting a master's PCGE in education, and ended up teaching the younger ones, because the older ones, they scare me. I mean, I technically still can teach the older ones if I wanted to, but they scare me, the secondary school lot. But as for the university lecturing, I'm still open to doing that as well. But the teaching part came more from like, okay, it's going to be flexible, me being a parent. I also love to educate in general, but I also love to learn myself. And also, another thing that led me towards teaching is when I was in secondary school, I felt like, not to discredit teachers, but I felt like I didn't learn much from my teachers.
No, it's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
And I felt like what got me through secondary school and getting really good grades was myself. I felt like I was teaching myself the material, and I felt like, the way I'm teaching myself, I feel like, okay, I could probably teach someone else that way. And then I would start study groups with me and my friends, and then we'd start like educating each other in that kind of way. I'm like, whoa, so I can educate. Okay, so maybe I should go down that route as well. So that's what led me towards teaching.
What subjects do you teach, or you teach of like different subjects?
I teach all of them.
What?
So English, math, science, RE, history, geography, RE, art, just everything, PE.
Wow. You see when obviously all of us went to school.
Yeah.
When all of us was in school, obviously we had different teachers teaching us different lessons, right?
Yeah.
Like when I was in school, I'm not gonna lie, when I was young, I never thought there would ever be teachers like you who could teach like very different lessons. I swear to God, it's like,
we had a
wow.
set teacher, Miss Payton for maths.
Yeah.
Smith for English.
Mr.
Green for
yeah.
PE.
Mr. Adams for science.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Miss Clark for fucking history. Mate. Like, so how does it work? Like, once again, like taking it back to like maybe people that are gonna watch this that may want to be teachers. Like, you see, in terms of like, the reality is in terms of like making a living, right?
Yeah.
And any teacher that might be watching this thinking, okay, cool, she teaches different lessons. How does it work? Obviously, we're not asking for price or whatever, but
Yeah.
how does it work? Do you get paid separately for teaching different lessons, or it's like it all come together within a? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it
I'm
all
not trying to say
comes-
numbers or whatever,
yeah.
just like in general to get like a better understanding.
It all comes under one sort of
Okay.
pay, and in order, like with me, I'm not gonna lie, it's very hard to keep up with the differences.
Yeah.
And yeah, because with me, there's some subjects that I'm more stronger in than others. So then I'm like, "Ooh," you know. But then anything that I don't know, I know a lot of the time, like from the children's eyes, they see teachers knowing everything. But I'm very honest with my students. I'm like, okay, I don't know everything. Like especially when it comes to when they've come to their sort of problem in maths. I ask them, how did you reach that problem? And they think that I'm just impressed, and I'm like, oh, but really I'm like, I'm trying to understand that myself. Like, how did you get from here to, and yeah, so if I don't know something, I'm very honest with my students. I'm like, oh, let me go and clarify this, because I don't want to tell you right now if I'm not sure myself.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Would you because earlier you said like secondary school, it's like when you think about it, teaching secondary school kids is kind of a madness for you, innit?
Yeah.
Like in future, would you think about like teaching secondary schools or even universities or even fucking colleges? 'Cause
Yeah.
some of these places, like you might end up getting like obviously a mixed group of people, but at the same time they're more chilled because of it's college or uni.
Yeah.
But yeah, secondary school first. Next year we're gonna do it.
Maybe, because the thing is with me, I went to sixth form.
Yeah.
So I know in sixth form it's a lot more stricter than college, for example. So you're there because you want to be there. Like you signed up to be there.
Yes.
And
it's part of like the school.
it's part of the
it's a
school.
system,
It's
isn't
very.
it?
It's
not-
more strict as
not-
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even when I was younger, before I even knew what sixth form or college was, my parents used to say, "You're going to sixth form." I'm like, "What's the difference?" They're like, "Oh, it's part of the school. It's more stricter,"
part of the
and they wanted me to be more focused.
Yeah.
And when I was in sixth form myself, I was like, "They're so strict.
So
Oh my
you wanted to
god."
go to college,
Yeah,
then.
I wanted. Yeah, I'm like, I think.
I bet all your friends that were
Yeah.
college, they come.
I think I wanted to go to college, but I stayed in sixth form because my parents wanted me, and it was very strict.
Yeah.
But in the end, it
turned
helped
out
me.
okay, yeah.
It made me more principled in certain things and more focused. And there was a lot more fear in sixth form because in my one, I went to a girls' school. In my one,
God damn.
Yeah, in my one, it was very like, even if you're someone who didn't want to go to university, they kind of